Hello, my friends. Welcome once again. I am very glad you are here today. Imagine a young boy sitting quietly beside a small fire at night. Outside, the wind is cold and strong. Inside, the little boy is holding an old book in his hands. He reads every page slowly and carefully because books are very rare for him. He dreams about learning new things. He wants to understand life and become wiser. This boy grew up in poverty, but one day he became one of the most respected leaders in history. He became the President of the United States and changed his country forever. Today we will explore the inspiring story of Abraham Lincoln. Relax your mind, listen carefully, and enjoy this peaceful journey while improving your English. Abraham Lincoln was born on February 12, 1809, in Kentucky, a state in America. His family lived in a tiny wooden cabin surrounded by forests and farmland. Life there was simple and difficult. The cabin had only one room, and the family owned very few things. Abraham's father, Thomas Lincoln, worked hard as a farmer and carpenter. His mother, Nancy, was loving and gentle. Abraham also had an older sister named Sarah. The family was poor, and every member had to work. Even as a child, Abraham carried water, chopped wood, and helped care for animals on the farm. He learned very early that survival required hard work and patience. Although life was difficult, Abraham's mother filled his childhood with kindness and wisdom. She told him stories and taught him the importance of honesty and compassion. She encouraged him to read whenever possible, even though books were difficult to find. Schools in that area were small and far away, so Abraham had very little formal education. Still, his curiosity about the world continued growing. When Abraham was 7 years old, the family moved to Indiana because his father hoped to find better land and new opportunities. The journey through forests and muddy roads was exhausting, but eventually the family built another simple cabin and started again. Soon after arriving in Indiana, tragedy entered Abraham's life. In 1818, his mother became seriously ill with a disease called milk sickness. At that time, doctors did not understand how to cure it. Abraham watched helplessly as his mother grew weaker every day. Finally, she died, leaving the young boy heartbroken. Abraham was only 9 years old, but the loss deeply affected him. He carried the sadness for many years. Without his mother, the family struggled even more. 1 year later, Abraham's father remarried a woman named Sarah Bush Johnston. She was kind, intelligent, and caring. She treated Abraham like her own son and immediately recognized his love of learning. Sarah brought books into the home and encouraged Abraham to study whenever he could. She protected his time for reading and supported his dreams. Abraham later said that his stepmother changed his life for the better. Because of her encouragement, he continued teaching himself. His formal schooling lasted only a short time altogether, but he never stopped learning. He borrowed books from neighbors and sometimes walked many miles just to find something new to read. He studied history, law, religion, mathematics, and biographies of famous leaders. He read slowly and carefully, thinking deeply about every idea. Paper was expensive, so he often practiced writing on wooden boards or in the dirt using sticks. Abraham also discovered that he loved storytelling. He enjoyed sharing funny stories and interesting ideas with friends and neighbors. People liked listening to him because he spoke in a simple and thoughtful way. Through these experiences, Abraham learned the power of words. He understood that language could inspire people, explain ideas, and bring comfort during difficult times. As he grew older, Abraham became extremely tall and thin. His unusual appearance sometimes caused people to laugh at him, but he learned not to judge himself by appearance alone. Instead, he focused on building strong character and treating others with respect. During his teenage years, Abraham worked many difficult jobs. He split logs for fences, worked on farms, and traveled on riverboats. One important trip took him down the Mississippi River, to the city of New Orleans. There, Abraham witnessed slavery for the first time. He saw men, women, and children treated like property and sold in markets. The sight shocked him deeply. He believed slavery was cruel and unfair, and he never forgot what he saw. Those memories later influenced many of his political beliefs. When Abraham was 22 years old, his family moved again, this time to Illinois. Abraham wanted a different future for himself. He did not wish to spend his entire life farming. He wanted to use his intelligence and help other people. He became interested in law, but he had no money to attend school. Instead, he educated himself once again. He borrowed legal books, studied carefully, and asked questions whenever possible. After years of effort, he passed the examination and became a lawyer. As a lawyer in Springfield, Illinois, Abraham earned a strong reputation for honesty and fairness. People trusted him because he worked hard and always tried to do what was right. He became known as a man of integrity. At the same time, he grew interested in politics. He believed government should improve people's lives and protect justice. In 1834, Abraham was elected to the Illinois state legislature. He was only 25 years old, but many people admired his intelligence and simple speaking style. Around this period, Abraham met Mary Todd, a well-educated woman from a wealthy Kentucky family. Mary was intelligent and interested in politics. The two enjoyed long conversations and eventually fell in love. Their relationship faced difficulties because they came from very different backgrounds, but they remained devoted to one another. In 1842, they married and later had 4 sons named Robert, Edward, William, and Thomas. Abraham loved spending time with his children. He played games with them, told stories, and tried to be a caring father. Sadly, sorrow visited the Lincoln family many times. Their son Edward died at a very young age, and years later, another son, William, also died during childhood. These losses caused deep emotional pain for both Abraham and Mary. Yet Abraham continued working and serving the public. He was elected to the United States Congress for 1 term, where he spoke openly against slavery. The issue of slavery was dividing America. Southern states depended heavily on enslaved labor for large plantations, while many people in the North believed slavery should end. In 1858, Abraham Lincoln challenged Stephen Douglas for a seat in the United States Senate. The campaign included 7 famous debates that attracted enormous crowds. During these debates, Abraham explained clearly why he believed slavery was morally wrong and should not spread into new territories. Although he lost the election, his speeches made him famous across the country. Americans remembered his thoughtful words and strong principles. 2 years later, the Republican Party selected Abraham Lincoln as its candidate for president. The nation was already deeply divided. Many Southern states warned that they would leave the Union if Lincoln became president because they feared he would oppose slavery. Lincoln tried to remain calm and respectful during the campaign. He spoke about preserving the Union and protecting the ideals of equality found in America's founding documents. On November 6, 1860, Abraham Lincoln won the presidential election. Before Lincoln could even fully begin his presidency, several Southern states separated from the United States and formed the Confederate States of America. They wanted to protect slavery and create their own government. In April 1861, the American Civil War began. It became one of the bloodiest conflicts in the nation's history. Families were divided, and friends fought against each other. As president, Lincoln carried enormous responsibility on his shoulders. He often looked tired and sad because he understood the terrible cost of war. For 4 long years, the Civil War continued. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers died in battles across the country. Lincoln faced criticism from many directions, but he remained determined to preserve the Union. In 1863, he issued the Emancipation Proclamation, an important document declaring freedom for enslaved people in Confederate territories. This changed the meaning of the war. The conflict was no longer only about keeping the country united. It also became a struggle for human freedom and equality. Later that same year, Lincoln traveled to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, where one of the war's deadliest battles had taken place. There he delivered a short but unforgettable speech now known as the Gettysburg Address. In only a few minutes he spoke about democracy, equality, and honoring the sacrifice of soldiers who died defending the nation. His words inspired millions of people, and are still remembered today. Finally, in April 1865, the Civil War came to an end. The Union survived, and slavery was abolished permanently through the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Lincoln hoped the country could heal peacefully after so much suffering. He wanted Americans from the North and South to rebuild together. But only days after the war ended, tragedy struck again. On the evening of April 14, 1865, Abraham Lincoln attended a play with his wife at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. During the performance, an actor named John Wilkes Booth entered the presidential box and shot Lincoln. Doctors tried desperately to save him, but he died the following morning at the age of 56. News of his death shocked the entire nation. People everywhere cried because they had lost a leader who represented hope, compassion, and freedom. Abraham Lincoln's journey from a poor child in a wooden cabin to the President of the United States remains one of history's most inspiring stories. He had little formal education and faced many hardships throughout his life, yet he never stopped learning. He believed deeply in honesty, fairness, and human dignity. Even during the darkest moments of war, he tried to lead with kindness and wisdom. Lincoln's story teaches us that our beginnings do not decide our future. Hard work, learning, and strong character can change a person's life completely. He showed courage during difficult times and stayed committed to justice even when many people disagreed with him. His life continues to inspire millions around the world. When we listen to stories like this, we learn much more than history. We learn about resilience, hope, and the power of education. And as we improve our English through storytelling, we are also opening doors to new understanding and new opportunities. Every sentence we understand helps us grow stronger and more confident. Thank you for listening to today's story about Abraham Lincoln. I hope his life inspired you and encouraged you to continue learning. If you enjoyed this story, please support the channel and share it with others who love history and peaceful storytelling. You can also leave a comment telling us which historical figure you would like to hear about next. Until next time, keep learning, keep believing in yourself, and continue moving forward on your English journey. Goodbye for now.